broke my big sweater. Karen. We're going to go ahead and call the January 6th Design Review Board meeting to order. Tim, do you have any announcements for us today? No announcements. First item is a request to approve the December 2nd minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at those? Any questions or comments? Any actions?
I'll make a motion to approve. I had no comments.
Okay, have Lee, is your microphone on?
No. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And just to remind everyone, if you'll please make sure you're speaking into the microphone, both up here and at our podium. We had some audio issues from last time with not picking up all of the comments. Okay, moves us on to item number 2, Community Plaza. Tim?
Yeah, good afternoon. Tim Brown with Planning and Development. This is a minor developer application submitted by ECM requesting approval to construct 3,022 square feet of commercial office and associated infrastructure on 0.215 acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning of coastal center. It's located in District 4 in Miramar Beach. What happened here is the previous building burned down. So they're requesting to build back to the original footprint. So that's what this building is doing. When that happens, you have to bring certain items up to code, like the landscape plan. They've done that. So it is compliant. I'd ask the staff report be entered into the record. I'll answer any questions. I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Okay.
There's 5 structures in this complex. They were originally approved as model homes, and over the years they've converted to commercial use. So that's why we are allowing them to rebuild to the original footprint, not to expand.
Okay. So have the record show we're entering the staff report. Tim, is this include signage on the building?
No, they are not proposing signage at this time. So if they propose it in the future, it'll have to come back.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? So when I put the address in for this is the paver yard, is that correct? Does anybody know? Because when I go to Google Earth, this doesn't show up. I guess I'm lost on where it's exactly at.
Well, it's immediately to the west of Culver's, and I believe west of this side is a bank, I believe. So it's between the bank and Culver's. And one of the things we're requiring is cross-access between the properties. Neither of those property owners are interested in cross-access,
Okay.
especially Culver's, because their drive-through is right there. But our take on it is at some point these properties will redevelop in the future, and when they do, we want cross-access.
No, I see it now. For some reason, the address that I was putting in was coming up wrong, so, okay.
Is there someone from the applicant that's here, Tim?
Josh, I'm here on behalf of John Green. Unfortunately, he's at home with COVID, so they asked me to bring the building samples and so forth up to you guys.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Yes, it's
for-
Josh Sirten, Sirten.
And you're with
ECM.
Okay. So you don't really have anything to add presentation-wise? it's just
We
to-
did bring
to bring
samples
with
of
you.
the colors, the bollard lights, roof sample, and then colors. We were asked to bring those up.
If you want to go ahead and pass those
Sure.
around, that'd be great.
Bring a sample if you need to look at it.
And you'll need to make all your comments into the microphone, I'm sorry.
I did bring a sample of the stucco, but I assume we all know what stucco looks like. So going around the opposite side is the underlayment for the roof and the bollard lighting that we've proposed in the plans.
So is this a new use, a new tenant for the building, or?
Yes, it's Delta Pavers. Luciano Ribeiro is the gentleman looking to develop the property.
So it's coming in as a brand-new
Yes,
use, not just a rebuilding of
correct.
the existing building?
And you haven't specified a white? It's
We,
just,
we brought that specifically so that we could have you guys look at it and tell us which of those would be approved with the use of that building. He's not specified a specific shade as to yet.
okay. Do you know what the other buildings there are?
The Community Plaza Bank building is kind of a dark brick color, if my memory serves correctly.
And is,
That's the underlayment for what's the metal roofing.
okay.
That looks like the metal roofing. But the underlayment? Or is
Let me
just
take a
the
look at
paint of it? Because, I mean, that looks like a 5 feet.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking at, what side, what I'm,
So this is what goes underneath.
is the metal roofing intended to be black, like in the rendering, or is it intended to be? Okay,
Yeah, they're going that way.
okay,
Oh, okay.
okay, that clarifies.
We just didn't want it to be blue.
Right, I wasn't sure what I was looking at there. Metal roof and. Mhm.
Light color.
Yeah, we're not specifically beholden to one of the particular shades. We wanted to bring that to you guys so that you could sort of nudge us in the right direction.
Brackets are what color? They're black too?
They are.
Have the horizontal stucco, is that a darker color than the white
Yeah, it's all the same shade. There's no variation. I know the rendering,
gray?
yeah,
in
the rendering, I think with the shadows on it does sort of give that effect, but to the best of my understanding on it, it's all the same shade.
Do you know where the mechanical equipment is going to be located?
Best of my knowledge, if you're looking at the photograph of the rendering, it would be off to the left side there. But I can get clarification on that if I need to. Sure.
So if you look at the site plan and you look at the rear west side, you'll see it. Inset showing the white fence that's going to screen it.
Thank you, Tim. I would have missed that.
The elevation, that front elevation, is that what the rendering is showing? Because it's not the same proportions at all.
I know that's fixing to ask at it. It looks squatty and tall in the rendering.
I think the rendering's elongated
Yeah,
vertically.
something's wrong.
Yeah,
with it.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it's
It's just like
distorted.
squeezed.
I think the photo is distorted, or the image is distorted.
It's completely distorted. It gives you totally different proportions.
Which the A2 looks a lot better in my opinion. Because the rendering's just messed up.
I agree.
So you have the little metal shed awnings over the two windows, right? And that's going to be the same color as the metal roof?
That's correct.
Okay. What about the window frames? Do you know what they're going to be?
The window frames will be black as well.
They're going to be black anodized?
That's right.
Okay. And then what about a coping? Is it just a white coping to match what the color?
As far as I know, yes, I can get clarification on that as well.
Okay.
So, I don't mean to be rude, but
Not
when
at
you
all.
say that you're going to get clarification, we can't approve.
No, I mean,
the
I can get
colors
it,
of
I can
the-
get it now
Okay.
if I need to. That's
We-
what I'm saying.
Yeah, we can't get, approve the colors of the building unless we know what we're.
Yeah,
approving.
I can reach out to John and find out for sure.
So I guess that kind of correlates with my question about, you kind of just handed us the color wheel
Mhm.
of the whites.
Mhm.
It appears there's a gray trim with the white stucco on the rendering.
From what the information that I have, there's no gray at all. It's all white.
That's what I asked originally, in terms of, the
Yeah, I know
horizontal
the-
trims, whether they were gray, because that's what it appears to in the rendering.
Yeah, I think that's just sort of a shadow effect there, but for the questions that I asked to have to answer you guys was that it was all white. There's no gray at all.
We don't have a corresponding Munsell color that we're approving.
We did pull the white Munsell color that we found in the Munsell book was 9/10P, as in Paul.
Okay.
That would be the translation to this?
Well, that's out of the Munsell book.
Well, this isn't the Munsell. book,
Correct.
right? So
You know, is there one of these
which
that
one matches the Munsell book?
It's
white?
the brightest white that's.
Well, this one's brighter than this.
It's
This is sort of gray.
This one right here.
The arcade white is the one that matches?
260, I believe is the number.
Yeah.
That was the one that matched the closest when we compared it to the Munsell book.
It's all the same, the same color all around. Oh, it's the same color all around, right? The trim is the same color as
What I was told, yes.
the walls.
body of the building?
So the only different color is gonna be the brackets that are gonna be the black, and the roof, both roofs are gonna be black.
The awning over the window.
And that's a problem. I discussed this with John. Black is not an approved Munsell color. There's developments out there that are black and white, like the crossings in Inland Beach, they got a deviation for black. It can be metal color,
Okay.
or it can be wood, the way we handle this, if it's painted or it's stained, it has to meet color. If it's just metal, just wood, it's not painted, it's not stained, then it doesn't have to meet the color requirement.
I don't think that would be problematic for the client.
But black is not an approved, and we have some out there that are black and white, the crossings being the one that comes to mind, but they did get a deviation for the black.
And so you're not requesting a deviation tonight?
You don't want a deviation. How long would it take to get a deviation?
They have to advertise for it, so they'd have to come back,
Next month.
continue
okay.
next month.
Did you guys see the one that they're, the muscle,
No.
when it was going around? It's the furthest at
The top one. Is it 260?
There's two approved white colors with Munsell, and you can't tell much difference. One is a little whiter than the other, but if you look at the book, there's two whites that are approved, and they're really close together.
So we can't approve as it's presented because we're looking at a paint color that is not asked for as a deviation.
It's up to you all if you'll accept, if they're saying it's going to be metal color.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
So what
But
are
it-
we saying? What are you saying?
So the black roof is going to be metal?
It will be a
And it won't be black,
Yeah.
right?
There
You're
won't be
saying it's gonna be
black.
galvanized, like galvanized.
Correct.
Just a regular old timber.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what are the brackets then?
I'd have to ask that question, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Originally, the plan was for the black roof, but obviously, in light of that not being an approved color without a deviation, we may have to make an adjustment to the rendering such as it is.
Well, why wouldn't you just come back next month, request the deviation, and we would have to continue it
Sure.
anyway?
I would have to take that up with John and ultimately with the client, and if you guys wanted to move on to one of the other agenda items, I could step out and make that call and find out if he wants to file for the deviation.
Awnings as well,
Okay.
because the awnings,
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll match
whatever
whatever
they
they
end
end
up
up
going
going
with
with
for
for
the
the roof.
Brackets
be
as
aware
well.
that you need to include
Sure.
those as well.
Okay.
Tim, I had a question. Is there like a dark gray that would be approved for the? is
There's
it
a
paint
number of
color?
grays, yeah. It's not super dark.
Oh.
I mean, we don't have any really dark colors that are approved, but there are grays that are, like when we did Second and Charles. They picked a gray that was approved.
Do we have Munsell colors available?
Yes, they're available. I just have to go get the book.
I mean, I don't really feel like that's appropriate for us
Yeah.
to play
We
designer
shouldn't be
at this.
picking it,
Yeah.
but I mean, you could suggest a darker gray and you can go pick it from,
If you
Well-
want to get it approved tonight,
yeah.
that's up to you.
No, that's fine. I'll make that call.
I mean, I can check that it's an approved color. I mean, if that's the route you want to take, I can verify that it is an approved gray color or whatever color we're discussing.
I mean, my personal opinion is if we're not ready to review the application as he wants it right now, that we need to continue it. And we don't need to waste time on the floor trying to design a building that they've already tried to work on.
We have a long agenda
We
today.
have a long agenda, and I just don't feel like it's fair to our other applicants. So that would be my preference, and let you and your client decide whether or not you want to do a deviation or select another gray and present to us what it is you want us to approve, or request that deviation. And the February meeting should give you enough time to make that call and make those submittals.
And I think that the rendering that was presented as a finished product should match the elevation of the building.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah, if you can get us
Very
the-
deceiving. Not in a bad way, but it just doesn't represent it.
Before we take any action, is there anyone from the audience that wants to speak on this item? All right, seeing none, does anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue to the February meeting.
We have a motion to continue to February. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved.
Thank you.
Community Plaza is continued to the February Design Review Board meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item number 3, Autos Express Car Wash Master Sign Plan. Tim?
Yes, the applicant's not here for this item. This is a scenic corridor sign application submitted by Vintage Sign and Light, requesting approval of a master signage plan on 2.37 acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning of village mixed use. The property is located in District 5 in Santa Rosa Beach. Otto's signage was originally approved with the project back in August of 2020. These are menu board signs, and our code does not address them in any way. And he's only doing the master signage plan for these signs, which there's no prohibition against that, but typically you're showing all the signs on the property or for the project. I'm not sure why he's not here. I'd indicated that with fast food, typically staff approves these signs because they're not visible from 98. They're behind the building. Our code doesn't address them, so we still make you get them approved, but they don't have to come before this board. And I gave him that option with these, that if he wanted it approved by staff, we would do that because we've consistently did that with fast food, even though obviously this is not a fast food restaurant and it's not a drive-through in that sense. But we'll move forward. I mean, in terms of a master sign plan, it meets all the requirements for that. And I'd request that the staff report be entered into the record and you all decide what you want to do. I mean, just because they're not here doesn't mean we can't act on it, but.
So
So noted that we are entering the staff report. Okay, go ahead, Lee.
So am I understanding correctly then that these signs are only visible from the north? I see this as a north elevation.
Yes, I think that's correct, because that's how you come into the car wash. So you select which wash you're going to purchase.
And these are only visible when you get to the cash kiosk area. So, I mean, it's not at the frontage.
What do they look like from the back? I mean, we're gonna back or?
I'm not sure, but I don't think so. I think they're going to be blocked by the building, but
But the pier's there.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
See and I think it has a canopy over it too, from what I recall seeing earlier.
That north elevation, looking on the other side, those piers would not have the signs. You wouldn't see them. They'd be covered. I'm assuming that.
So what was their rationale behind doing a master signage plan, Tim?
I'm not sure. But when I spoke to the owner, because, you know, Kim Sutton is doing this, but when I spoke to the owner, I don't recall us discussing a master sign plan, but then that's what they uploaded, and so, you know, we're reviewing it, but I think I told Kim the same thing. It's like, I don't remember discussing a master sign plan, but it's a little different because our code doesn't address this type of signage. You know, it does building signs, monument signs, directional signs. It doesn't address menu signs or a menu board for a fast food restaurant.
And this master sign plan does not include the other signage that we've already approved on the building and at the monument.
It does not, which kind of defeats the purpose of a master
Right.
sign plan, because if he included it, they could switch those out without having to come back to this board.
That's why I asked the question. It references the other signs, but it says they're shown only for reference.
And I did mention this to Kim when I was discussing this with him. It's like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose, you know, why you would get a master sign plan.
I don't understand it, but, you know, they're not visible. They're not like, they don't look extremely huge or.
Just like a
North,
menu.
And this doesn't supersede or take away any of their entitled signs, that they can still have the monument signs, they can still have the building signs, just because it's not shown on the master sign plan doesn't necessarily remove that from their available signage. Is
No.
that- Okay.
But since it's not included in the master sign plan, if they want to switch them out, they're going to have to come back through this board for approval. Otherwise, they'll just go
Right.
through staff.
Why apply for, they haven't included, have they been approved? Their other signs have been approved already?
We
Yes,
approved
you-
them with the final order. Yeah.
Yeah, when the project came through, you guys approved the signage. Now, once you do that, they still have to submit a sign application, and it goes through and gets approved. They've done that, but in terms of the actual improvement, it was approved with their project.
Was the logic that they wanted to make sure that this had movable sign face that they could change out? And that's why they wanted to just have it approved the one time with the sign plan and?
Perhaps, we didn't discuss it, but I mean, if the cost went up, they could switch them out that way.
Right.
Ability they're looking for. So I'm okay, I mean, unless I'm missing something, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, unless there's something that you're telling us that it prohibits them from doing with their property
No.
by approving this as it is.
No, like I said,
I
I would have
problem.
approved it as staff if they would submitted it that way. They didn't, they submitted it this way, but,
How to submit it, and that's.
well,
the
they may
whole
have,
problem.
because it's not addressed in our code. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't say anything about these types of signs in any of the code, not just in Highway 98. It's not addressed at all.
So I,
Ask you a quick
Go ahead.
question to finish that thought. If they do change their pricing and want to make those changes on these menu signs, if they didn't have a signage, master sign plan, would they have to come back to staff to get that approved?
We
They're prob-
always
I don't
make
blame
them
They probably just want to avoid that.
do that if they take it down, right? If you're going to take the sign down, put a new one up, then you have to get
Right.
it approved. The same thing with the monument sign. If you're just changing the text, you come through staff. If you're changing out the whole monument, then you got to come through this board.
But if they do have it in a master signage plan, can they change the prices without coming to staff for approval? The prices on the signs?
If they're just switching out the price, I'd say no. But if they're switching out the panel, then yes.
Okay.
I have to change the panel. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's hard to tell from this drawing, but it appears to me, and I'm certainly not an expert, that they'd have to switch out the panel to
Right.
switch out the price.
Right.
If it's an exact replica other than changing the price, what's the point of making them come back?
Well, I agree, that's a fairly large hoop to jump through,
Right.
but we treat everyone the same.
Yeah. Okay, well, probably not a good, perfect way to do it either way.
I mean, if there's not a detriment to it and it gives them the satisfaction of knowing they've got that ability, I don't have a problem with it at all.
Now, there's no negative to doing it this way,
You said the applicant wasn't present?
not present.
Is there anybody from the audience that wants to speak on it?
I do want to just check one thing before we move forward. On the first page of the site plan shown, okay, I see now. So it's showing exactly where they'll be. I wasn't getting the arrows, but that's just showing where the signs will be versus where the lighting will be. See the two arrows coming from below?
Internally illuminated, and then clearance of 7'2".
Are these signs, the three top arrows are the clearance bar? You have the top 7.5 by 2
Yeah.
inches by 6 inches, all aluminum fabricated
Okay.
clearance bar.
Okay.
And we require those to be approved as well.
What?
Those clearance bars. It's through staff, but we require, because it's a sign. So we make them do that. But I think that's what it's showing. It's the two bottom arrows are these two
Signs.
menu signs, and the three top arrows are clearance bars.
I read that.
But they don't show the clearance bar on the next page.
The drawing.
Right, I was looking for
They don't
it.
show the 7'2",
No.
but it's got to be on that side.
Only
'cause-
only the menu signs.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I was getting confused as to what,
Got to be back there. They just didn't show it.
okay. And they show it on here.
That's why there are three.
Got it. Okay, I'm good.
Does anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And motion passes. Thank you. Tim, that brings us to number 4, Coast Furniture, Inc. building sign.
Yes, thank you. This is a scenic quarter sign application submitted by Coast Furniture requesting approval of a building sign measuring 288 inches by 24 inches for a total of 48 square feet on .531 acres with the future land use of mixed use and a zoning of coastal center. It's located in District 5 in Miramar Beach. So this sign previously came before this board on February 4th, 2021. The applicant was not present and this board denied it at that time. So now they have come back and the applicant is present to see if they can get it approved. So with that, I'd like to enter the staff report into the record.
So noted.
And I will turn it over, unless you have questions, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
And I just wanted to make a statement. The online version did not have the inserts provided by the applicant, so that is the printout that you see at your stations. So this is the only information that we've been provided. Okay. The applicant, yeah, if you would like to come, please spell your name for the,
Sam Miller with Coast Furniture. ILLER.
This sign's already up.
Yes. Sign was put up when COVID started. I was not able to attend the meeting where it was denied. I got a record of what was said or whatnot, maybe minutes, is that what you guys call it? I'm not sure. Anyways, they said that the building was painted by Coast Furniture and the sign looked out of place or whatnot. That building was not painted by Coast Furniture. That building was painted pre-2015. It's been that color and the way you see it for quite some time. That sign that is up, it is approved as far as the code goes, correct, Tim? Okay. I put it dead center. If I was to move it any other way, I think it would look funny. It would overlap windows and whatnot. Kind of like looking at your thing back here. It'd be kind of funny if we put it over on that little jet out over there. It's a track sign or raceway sign or whatnot, which is pretty abundant up and down the scenic corridor with most other businesses. I'm just asking for your approval.
and just to kind of,
I did fail to mention that there is code enforcement on this sign. This magistrate found it to be in violation and there's a fine that's being assessed on this particular item.
Because it's not approved.
Right. It got denied, it's not approved, so
So if we approve it today, would it resolve the code case?
it would, and the fine would, well, it has to go back to the magistrate, but the fine would stop.
Is this,
That's,
Okay.
and that's what was provided last time, which is why it was.
might want to pass this around.
What's
I,
that?
I just looked it up on Google Maps and.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
So, sorry, just to make a clarification point, just because something fits within the parameters that the guidelines allow does not make it an approved sign.
Sure, I understand that.
So I just wanted to make that point of clarification that was,
100%. I know I gotta come before you guys for y'all's opinion or whatnot, so that's why I wanna make sure. That's why I'm here, and I wasn't able to make the other one, so that's,
and I think that the large problem was we did not have enough information to really have any discussion about. We weren't sure what was
that's
going
kind
on
of what I
with the sign.
gathered from what Tim said. That's why I wanted to come and anything you needed to ask me or whatnot, make sure it was all clarified this time.
Oh,
So the
good.
building was painted
315 before I
315.
before I moved in.
315. Okay.
Yes,
All right,
I moved in a year and a half ago,
okay,
a little over.
gotcha.
So I think when we had the discussion about the facade last year, we were discussing all of the awnings had been removed where the
There was
previous
one-
signage was.
There was
the-
one awning, one giant awning over the glass, and we did remove that, correct?
I know another thing I will tell you,
Hmm.
and I can see it on the old Google Earth photo. I think what we discussed about the painting is that the trim around all the windows, and then there was vertical trim pieces, what used to be painted black. Now it's white, which I actually think is an improvement.
Thank you.
to-
Yeah,
to the
we
building.
did too.
So I think that's the only,
I
I
thought
think
it
that's
looks-
what we were
looks good.
noticing.
Just that there had been modifications, that
Yeah,
we weren't
yeah,
sure
yeah.
what the extent of the modifications, yeah.
This is a good
Yeah, as
photo.
far as I know, it was only paint. There was no like physical, I don't know, they didn't
Well,
glue
the
anything.
awning removed.
Except the
yeah.
awning, yes, I did pull we pulled the awning down because it had a J. Miller's logo on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to bring that up. I think it was before you owned it, but that J. Miller sign was also never approved. So we were trying to get them through the approval process, and then I guess when you purchased it, you took it down.
So it's a good thing.
But I wanted to mention that J. Miller sign on the awning was
Was not
never approved.
Okay. Before we go on, are there any other questions right now, or?
Time soon?
No. It's going to remain white unless it needs touch-up or something. It'll stay the same color. Like, everything is white now. Furniture included.
It's going that way.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak on this one? All right, not seeing anyone there. And Tim, with the provided sign measurements, it does fit the,
Wow, this building is over 15,000 square feet. They're allowed a 100 square foot sign. This is 48 square feet. But of course, the way the building's designed, it's really difficult to make it work.
You can't
Yep.
put a ton of signage on this building.
Yeah, I was just looking at that with the windows and that big door entry
Yeah,
glass.
it was the only place that I could put the biggest thing I could possibly come up with, to
Yeah.
grab somebody's eye.
So I'm gonna say this, it does meet code, and I think you don't have much to work with as far as the facade of this building goes. It does look crowded to me, and I think we might have had that discussion last time as well. So that's not ideal. The only way to resolve that is make you tear this one down and do a whole new one that's smaller and might get difficult to see, I don't know. So I'm not too anxious to do that either.
no.
Appreciate it.
I think there are limitations being caused by the design of the facade. And this is a great example of why we went up, this is just side point, has nothing to do with you or this request.
Sure.
But this is a great example of why we like to see signage proposed with a development order when they're doing the building, because we want to make sure from the very beginning when a building is built that it accommodates signage. This building was built, I don't even know how
Right.
long ago.
Well, and if I'd have done it the correct way and we didn't have COVID and all that, then it's a lot easier for me to change something on this piece of paper than it would be to
Yeah,
rip it down and all
Exactly.
that. But
Absolutely.
unfortunately, like all of us, trying to make a living,
Yep,
didn't really
yep.
needed to get that thing going.
Get it. And I also feel that the building looks better than it has in the past in general.
We try to keep it sparkly clean.
Well, and it's, getting rid of that trim was a good move, in
Mm-hmm.
my
Yeah,
opinion.
it was like an ugly cream and black. It was terrible.
Those are just my thoughts.
Well, I would agree as well. I mean, I think it's way too crowded, but there's nowhere else to put signage that I can see. I mean, that's just, I think we can all agree it's pretty crowded, but I don't have any other options.
There would be, if you wanted to put a sign creatively, it would take a lot more than what you've done.
Sure, sure.
You know.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go over any
I can see other things,
windows.
but it would have been, over budget.
Yes, ma'am.
And,
That one was expensive enough.
and I just, and I think that it is crowded and it's
Sure.
not the, what we would like to accept. But, circumstances.
I think to remedy it, you'd have to build a new architectural element at the entry.
Right. That would cost a lot more and.
And
Yep.
push it out or something over
Yeah.
the, yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
so
That would definitely get very
expensive.
costly.
Definitely.
Maybe,
Especially
maybe
right-
in a couple years.
Yeah,
when
especially
we're-
right now with
Yeah.
materials.
Start raking the money, then you can do
Yeah,
it.
maybe in a couple of years, I'll
Yeah.
submit something to move that thing out to grab some more attention.
Smaller sign, this building is so large, this facade, I think a smaller sign might look a little,
And I really
Funny.
do like the little white linear
I do too.
letters.
Oh,
I do
thanks,
too.
yeah,
That's-
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
do.
think it
And
helps
by
a
the way,
lot.
that color of that matches the monument sign color, like it all. And there's actually, I don't know if that picture you see, there's decorative pots.
Yep.
Under the lights and all that match. It's a furniture store. We gotta look somewhat stylish.
I think the contrast,
Felt 20 in.
that being dark and then this and being squeezed between
Anything smaller, that building is, the front of it is so large, it would definitely dwarf it dwarfs that sign really. I mean, that thing could be bigger, but I thought it would look funny if it overlapped the windows. It just wouldn't,
Oh, no, it would have been horrible.
yeah, been terrible. So
That would've
that's
made me
why,
tear down.
no, yeah, that's why I tried to keep it in between the windows, above the other one and below
Yeah.
the top of the,
Your potential
deal there.
locations narrowed down really quickly, didn't they?
yeah, very much so.
And you're the only tenant, correct?
Correct.
And will remain that way as
Uh,
far as you
No one else will be in there.
plan today?
Correct.
Okay.
Anyone want to make a motion, or
Yeah,
Discussion?
I will. I'll make a motion to approve.
we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second? Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you guys, appreciate it. Okay.
Moving on to number 5, move it storage building sign, and number 6, move it storage monument sign. Tim? I'd prefer that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This is a scenic quarter sign application submitted by Complete Signs requesting approval of a building sign measuring 354 inches by 36 inches for a total of 88.5 square feet, and a monument sign measuring 10 feet by 8 feet for a total of 80 square feet on 4.11 acres with the future land use of mixed use, a zoning of coastal center mixed use. It's located in District 4 in Miramar Beach. I didn't write it down, but this project came through this board previously and was approved. It's an expansion of an existing warehouse business. So now there's 2 new buildings. This building is facing 98. Previous signage was up on Forest Shore.
Mhm.
So now they're doing the signage on 98 because the building fronts 98. So the building sign can be 100 square feet. They're proposing 88.5. So both of these signs are compliant. I'd request both staff reports be entered into the record. Take any questions if you have. If not, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Okay, let the record show we're accepting the staff report for item 5 and for item 6, the monument sign and the building sign. Any questions of Tim, or we move on to our applicant? All right, please come up. And if you'll state your name and spell it for our record, please.
Sorry, name is Justin Woodward, Woodward, and I'm here to represent Move It Storage, but I'm actually the permit expediter with Complete Signs.
Anything that you wanted to add about the signage or?
It seems it's pretty straightforward. It was actually kind of a difficult road to get here because they kept, I don't know, I guess Christy's not here, but she was assisting us with them getting a new address and things like that. But as far as the code goes, I think what we're presenting here is aesthetically pleasing. I think it's simple. It's not too much. The monument's not even illuminated, which is actually out of character for Move It Storage. We have a national account with them. They typically go for like a LED or something. So this is a more conservative approach for them, actually.
And so the monument sign is all black aluminum. Is there any black on the building with the exception of the signage?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It's like a stucco look, and then
That's what I recall.
they have the same logo nationwide. It's just kind of their look.
Do you know if there's going to be any external illumination, up lights, or anything on the sign?
That's actually something I wanted to discuss, but we can save that for a later date. But if it's allowed, they'll probably want to. They'll probably want to put the little light bulbs that angle at it. If not,
It is, it's just not the internal illumination.
yeah,
That's-
okay.
yeah.
So we'll definitely put those little LEDs.
Was there a reason that they chose to do the monument sign in all black instead of trying to match the stucco frame?
It's just, speaking as somebody who does all their code checks and permits in the country, that it's what they always do. It's just it's like McDonald's logo kind of deal. And I was actually sitting back there and you guys were talking about how you don't really like black, and I don't know what area that was, but I was like, oh no, because that is their thing.
Not that we don't like black.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
It's just not an approved color on the list, but
Yeah.
signage is excluded from the color.
I think it's kind of gross looking, really, but that's, no, I'm just kidding. No, it looks good. It's very much just solid, We did have the numbers added as well to the bottom.
So that, the cap on the top of the building, that's black? Not, it just looks like it.
It may be. I have to apologize.
On. What are the windows?
Yeah, that's it's probably gonna be just paint.
It's gonna be black?
Yeah, that black trim. So that does actually accent that wall sign a little bit. They also have the same deal around the doors and windows, like you said.
Got black there?
Yeah. Well, they have like those sliding glass doors.
But what is it's aluminum clad, but what is the color of the aluminum clad? Is that a different color?
You're talking about on the monument sign?
Windows, yeah, on the, just for the building with the signage on the building, I'm just trying
Right.
to.
I would have to dig up some more on that because the only thing they gave me was pertaining to signage. I mean, I have the image you guys are looking at, but the building doesn't even exist yet. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, I just was, trying to match the
has
sign
Right.
with the building.
Yeah, this is a new construction
sense.
project, yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean-
I'm struggling with the black. And here's where I don't know that I'm struggling with it as much on the monument.
Matches the sign.
Hmm?
sign, the monument sign.
The building sign matches the monument sign? But I do, so on that building sign, is it a black background, like a box with the white letters and the logo
That's correct.
three-dimensionally standing out from that?
Yeah, it's channel letters on a backer panel, basically.
Okay. That's part of what's bothering me.
Yeah, it looks weird when you're just staring at it like that, but the letters are actually cabinet letters, like channel letters, so it looks a lot better in person.
So is there, in their color scheme, is their name always in white?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we could talk to them about maybe trying like a red or something, but it's
Well, here's what I would say. I'm just gonna put this out there. My preference personally is that the black backer box go and the letters and the logo be three-dimensional and without a backing, which would mean they would need to probably change the color of the letters because they wouldn't stand out from the building.
right.
White. I could even go with black. I mean, prefer that it match something on the building, but black's fine for the letters. But
Yeah.
that's just, if I had my druthers, I'd rather that backer not be there because it starts to look like a cabinet sign, and we've seen that with other things as well. A box sign, what do you call it? The Lexan. I know it's not one, but it
Yeah, when you see,
innocent of it.
yeah, well, I know there's a Move It in Freeport, but I don't remember what all they have on signage. But I do know it's a stark difference between when you see it on paper versus when you see, because the actual
Sure.
box is like 3 feet tall. So it's like a pretty big dimensional feel to it. But I get what you're saying. You're putting a black backer panel on a white-ish wall. It's kind of, yeah, redundant. I gotcha.
Do you know what the relief is between the black backer and the face of the white cabinet letter?
You're talking about how they mount it structurally?
Distance?
Or distance?
What's the,
It's 2'6" is what they're between. Yeah, I think so.
I would expect it to be a couple inches.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the wrong numbers.
Okay.
It's on there. It's not, the dimensions are not on there, but they're usually set off pretty good ways. I mean, it's typical. What is it? No more than 18 inches is the norm. That's what we usually run into across the board. I'm not entirely sure. Sorry.
I was just trying to get an idea of what it felt like.
Yeah, it's
three-dimensionally
even the
off the-
backer panel's not totally like flush to the wall. It has like this dimensional feel. It's probably 5 inches or something like that. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that as much as I do think that there's something about the black not being a little bit, it's like it's cut short. You know, the letters are white, so if it was a little bit like trying to grasp a little bit further,
Right.
so that
Maybe
the
extend a
letters,
little
yeah,
bit.
extend a little bit
Because
more.
like he said, they're allowed 100 square feet and they're only 88 and a half. So maybe if they took advantage of maybe making it a little bigger, it wouldn't feel so. I'm not sure.
What's
I
the
mean-
max height?
I believe we maxed it out at 10 feet.
Yeah, I think
per
that
code.
the height is okay. I think the
Yeah.
horizontal to create that.
Oh, you're talking about on the monument
Talking about
sign?
two different-
Not the monument sign,
Yeah, okay.
building
Okay,
sign.
yeah, that's what I thought
Yeah.
you meant.
Because, I mean, that's my take on it. I
Right.
think that right now it just seems squeezed in terms of the horizontal. If it was a little bit more like something that was grasping at the body, because that the building is so
Right.
horizontal.
Right.
And
So you're talking about making the black bigger all the way around on all four
Just-
sides?
no, 4 sides, just the length, so that it's also like, it becomes a horizontal statement. It already is, so. If that cap is black, then it sort of brings in a little bit more sign.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to be like a raceway that goes all the way across type deal, or if they're just painting what's already there. Well, I
Yeah,
can't.
see, that's it without the building, because it
Yeah.
just, I think right now what it is the sign pops out and it's black, and it's just not part of it's like it's not incorporating into the design. And I like the design of this building. I mean, it's
Right.
not. But I think that it needs to be incorporated more so in the design. And I'm just wondering whether maybe it's too tight to the top and this could be a little bit longer. And
You think it's a little high on the building?
I think it's squeezed on the top, and it should be more about, maybe on the lower, if it's lowered a little bit more and it could extend a little bit more, then it would hide it more into that building.
Sure. That's the good thing about new construction is placement's not an issue too much. I think this was more like just something for me to have for the meeting when it comes to the placement. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked they didn't go a little bigger, because I did a code check months ago, and we built the monument to code, but they didn't build the wall sign totally to code. I'm not really sure why.
Well, let me ask you, that's why I was asking, the height of the building sign, is it maxed out at 3?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
5?
You can go to 5. So you could actually, I was gonna say they may have just been,
Yeah,
trying to,
be
make it work
conservative.
with the 3 feet in height, and that drove the size.
That's probably what it was, yeah.
But if they have more height to work with, you could go
Okay.
a little bigger.
I don't think this would be an issue with Move It at all. They typically want to go, honestly, as big as they can. So I can definitely
But that
suggest
12,
that.
11 and a half square feet is gonna eat up quickly, too. You're not
Yeah.
gonna get a whole lot more.
I just think that if you squeeze it horizontally, stripe, which is this building is all about little, these stripes that are long because the building is so wide. And, if it could maybe relate more to that entrance.
Right.
In terms of length, I don't know how it would relate, but it would tie down, and if it were a little bit lower, I think it might not feel as awkward and as foreign to the building.
Sure.
But, if everything else there's nothing else black in the building, then it's gonna be like a sore thumb. It's not gonna look right, so.
The placement, I don't know if you know this or not, is that entrance with the glass panels around the front door, is that centered on the building? It looks a little offset to the left.
Yeah, again, this is essentially a rendering by our graphics department of what they think it's going to look like. So I would say it will be centered based on what I've always seen them do, especially
Okay.
we just did a new one
I
in
hope
Panama
so.
City Beach. Yeah,
They have to change the panel sizes so that there's one in the middle and then it moves both sides. Because right now, the column is on the middle
right.
and the door is towards one of the left panels. That's why it looks awkward.
Because it makes you it begs the question, is the sign centered above the door, or is it centered on the building? And that's gonna drive some placement if that front
Yeah, it just-
entryway entrance is not centered on the building.
It needs to be more integrated to the building, so it's not like an afterthought. Like it's stuck on.
But has the board approved this building prior to me coming on board?
It's been approved for a while.
Okay, because I'm not familiar with it, so, okay,
Yeah, it was a while ago.
okay.
Well, you may not.
I-
have known.
I
no, you
do.
know what? But
It had to have been,
I would have liked it because I like the building.
yeah,
So there's, right now it's fronting Forest Shores. Drive by it.
The
New
existing
buildings haven't
development.
been built yet, but they're gonna be fronting on 98.
Okay.
So you wouldn't necessarily recognize it by driving by, because you got these two buildings that are set way off of 98 and they're fronting on Forest Shore.
Okay.
and isn't there a lot of wooded area when you come up to the approach of it? So you only see really just that one quick facade.
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, it's pretty wooded at the moment.
Okay. So I guess I'll just speak real quick. I'm okay with the building sign, but I guess I see where you're talking about where it's kind of crowded on the ends. That's fine if they want to increase that, but the monument sign, I'm not, it's just too much black. I mean, I don't know if we can incorporate, it looks like the base of this building is block. I mean, I tried to zoom in on the PDF and it appears it's a block veneer.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a block base with something above it and still have opportunity for that, to be black, where you see the dash lines, the 6 by 4'8" maybe.
I would much rather see the sign face itself, just have the black and allow the logo kind of to come through and the surround be more in keeping with the building. I would much rather see that.
Incorporate it.
I don't know why, but I mean, I think I don't have a problem with the black.
Oh, really?
I think it's a statement.
Yeah.
If you start trying to bring pieces of the building back, I mean, there's something about the scale of this that it's just it's a very strong statement, but it's clean.
Even though it's so divorced from the building?
Well, see, I'm looking at the sign, and if there's more black stripes in the building, it would tie it into the building. Just because of the strong graphics of the lettering, it ties it into and the only graphics in the building is that big sign, and the monument basically ties into the sign. That's just my opinion. I think it's like, it could be like, if you think about marbles, black marbles, you wouldn't have a problem with the black.
I don't know that I would have a problem with the black if there was any black detailing in the building at all.
Yeah.
Because I don't, on its face, have anything against the sign. But if the next tenant were to come into the building and change the signage out, they'd have to remove the entire monument sign. I mean, it wouldn't be a face change.
Right.
Which, I mean, it's their prerogative, but it kind of feels like there's such a separation between the sign and the building.
That's why I was trying to say, integrate the sign in the building a lot more and make it part of the building, because the building's got all these stripes that are horizontal, and your sign, as it is, it tends to be a horizontal sign. So if you strengthen that and you make, I can't tell what the material of these stripes are, but the top seems like it's a lined, cap with black.
I don't remember there being any deviations for the building, Tim. Were there? Nothing? Yeah, I really think it might just be the graphics, that it may just be the separation between maybe the panels,
Oh, I think that is, but there are some
There are
horizontal
horizontal
lines.
lines there strong.
Not-
Because, I mean,
not-
they cantilever, they stand out and tie in the two brick piers.
Don't
And they're even
remember.
asymmetrical on the top. One's going to the right and the other one's going to the left.
It does look like that. What do you call that very top trim?
It's like a flashing or a cap.
The cap is
it's
looking
black.
black here, but I don't know if that's how realistic this rendering is.
I know, see, that's the problem.
But it's elevation, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Running back real quick to the monument sign, I tend to agree with, it would be nice to have a base that matches the base of the building. And another reason I say that is the way this monument sign is it looks like the base of it is like 4 inches tall. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, it's 4 inches.
It just looks, it looks like the sign wants to blow over. There's that teeny base down at the bottom that's honestly probably going to disappear into the ground by the time, if you got any grass or anything around it. And so you're just going to have this plain black, which I do get the abstractness, and that's appealing, but when I look at this render or this elevation, I think if there were a base to that monument sign that was even that gray color around the bottom of the building, that might really look nice and make it look like it all just goes together. And then you've got the black of the building sign matching the black on the monument. It keeps their logo color scheme. I don't think you have to have a huge base, I mean, but even if there was just something just to anchor it and make it look, like part of the whole overall development, I think that might.
Sure.
And if you didn't do that, I'd almost say I'd want that bottom part of the monument sign, even if it remains black, to be tall.
Which part?
That little band at
would
the
even-
bottom, very bottom of the monument sign.
The 4, the 6?
The 4-inch base.
Yeah, I just think it needs a base to it that matches the building, just to kind of set it down.
Well, that was my first preference, but I'm saying if we said no, we don't have to
Okay.
do that, I would either eliminate that little 4-inch band around the bottom or make it more substantial.
Eliminate it and maybe, make it, but that's just me. And I can't see the details on the building, that's the problem. Canopies that you don't know because you're the sign person.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I've only been doing this position for about 7 months. I've been to like 2 variances. I've never been to a design review board meeting. So I know the way my people think, does it meet code or not? And if it meets code, what are we talking about here? And I'm not trying to say that. I know that's your guys' job, but it's kind of astounding to like watch it all go down because it's opinions really. It's what I think looks good versus what he thinks looks good. He made the point that it's hard to see the business and distinguish what you're looking for. Well, maybe an eyesore is what they need. Maybe they need to pop, quite frankly.
Yeah, but the thing about it is aesthetics, and like you said,
Sure.
but there's a certain care that has been given to all in 98, and I think we have a pretty good vision,
Sure.
higher end design.
Right.
And people that are designers and people that are not.
Yeah.
And we can differ, That's
Sure.
how much you want to push it.
Sure.
I think coming back to the disconnect between approving signage so far after we've approved the building is that our code asks for there to be similarities, material similarities or other things. And when we can approve them together, we have the architect here, we have the material samples here. It becomes a little bit
Renderings.
more renderings.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
becomes a little bit more of an easier process.
Sure. I understand.
And coming at this point, even though you have provided an elevation, we don't have the very specific pieces that that Loris is trying to create to see how it fits in and
Yeah.
those pieces. So I think there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, we're on the other side of the guy from the furniture store deal. He had the
Yeah.
opposite problem. Yeah.
From a placement standpoint, I don't mind it being placed centered over the bay, because it's not going to be something that you're going to be looking for as you're finding the door. You're not trying to find the door out of a strip mall of doors. It's more of location signage from 98. I don't think it matters when you get to that.
I like it being centered like that too, but I was just saying a little lower.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it could
Mention between
definitely.
the cap on the top, and
It's too close to the top of the
and
building.
and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm just being visual, and because everything, a good design incorporates everything, and unfortunately, like you said, the steps have been separated so much that
Sure.
we can't, the things that I'm thinking might tie this sign better design-wise, I don't even know if they're real.
Right.
I'm just assuming because this rendering is giving me certain hints.
Sure.
So I might be completely wrong, and that's what's a little bit frustrating from my end.
Well, we did hear the two items together. We discussed them together. We don't have to vote on them together. It's not a part and parcel. So there's that. You know, I don't hate the building sign. I do feel strongly that there needs to be a little bit more connection between the building and the monument sign. But
Especially because we really don't know if these horizontal lines are black or not.
That sense.
So there
that
could
makes me
literally be
really
no
uncomfortable.
black on that building.
I just love the minimal, the big statement.
I think it does, because we just did one in PCB that was almost identical, and it was, but I don't know exactly what it is. It's like some metal striping that they put.
Canopies?
Yeah, on those,
Horizontal lines?
right, yeah. That seems to be their new thing, because this company puts them up, I don't know how far they extend, but we do them all the time, and it seems like they follow a pattern, and then they do like this for a while, and then it shifts, and everything's this way for a while, that kind of thing.
Where's their building in Panama City? It's in Bay County?
Yes, it's on 98, actually.
By the, is it
Right, it's right by a Tom Thumb. It's on 98, right as you get into Panama City Beach, if you're
right
coming,
past 79 or before?
before you get to 79, if you're coming from Destin, about a mile before you get there.
Yeah, I've seen them. They're
Yeah,
nice
they have a
buildings,
huge,
you know,
yeah, they have a huge LED.
like a gun place.
What's that?
Have
This,
a gun.
not this place, no, it's just a really big storage facility they keep adding to.
So where do we want to go from here? Do we need to bring it back where we can see more of what the building actually looks like? So that we can judge whether it goes with the building?
Yeah, I can't verify my comments if not,
Right, right.
because I would just not comment at all because I don't know the materials for sure.
And that's maybe something, Tim, that we can do in the future, is that if they're bringing signage back after, even though we're strongly encouraging, if not requiring that they do it all at the same time, that we have to have a full set of plans and renderings, whatever we approved the building based upon, or buildings, so that we can see exactly how the signage interplays with the architecture of the building. Does everybody agree with that?
absolutely.
Concept.
Helpful. It
I
would be
do.
very helpful.
Absolutely. It also helps if we
Blows my mind.
have the civil and landscape plans, because we've often asked, exactly where we're placing the sign and what it's adjacent to, and those documents had picked that up.
Yeah, because sometimes you have to revisit things in order to make it better design, and
So I would agree that those are necessary components. So do we want to take action for either of the signs? How do we want to move forward? Oh, before we do that, is there anyone here from the audience that wants to speak on either one of these? 5 or 6? Okay, seeing none.
Question of the applicant?
Yes, ma'am.
Just asked?
Yes.
The building has not begun to be built, correct?
As far as I know, that's right.
So we've got some time.
Sure,
There
sure.
shouldn't be a humongous rush on getting this
No, I
signage.
mean, it's not a big deal. We just come down from Dothan. You guys just have to let me know. I can go back to the architect and the designers and get everything we need. Discuss with the customer what they think about maybe. Well, let's hear what you guys have to say.
well, at least you've heard what our opinions or suggestions are, and the direction that might want to take or not want to take, and
Sure.
Radical on the on the group, but I
Say
sometimes
radical.
that's what good design always breaks the mold. So
Yeah, unfortunately, the customer usually just lets us handle everything, so it's hard for me to have an opinion about what they want, I know what they want is what we presented, but
they want to get it done.
yeah, they have a lot of stuff in motion, so.
Well, so we need to make 2 separate motions and take 2 separate actions for 5 and 6. So 5 is the building sign, and then 6 is the monument. From were you looking for maybe a continuance to get that information?
I
or-
would prefer it.
Both,
Okay.
because they both are tied together, and
Right.
I don't think, I can't make a decision on either one. I don't know the materials.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Someone want to make that formal?
I'll make a motion to continue the February meeting.
Number,
Have-
the building sign, number 5.
Yep,
Okay.
whichever one we're doing first, 5, yep. And when it comes back, to have full plans and renderings that are available on the building brought to us with it.
Okay, so we have a motion to
Those samples.
continue number 5, the building sign, with the request that we have the full set of architectural and building plans to come back with that.
And add
And
materials.
materials.
Yeah.
Don't you want landscape plans, site plan?
Yes,
Okay.
landscapes,
Do you
the
s-
full set
whole
of.
thing.
Full
the
set of construction
plans.
drawings.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's a motion for number 5. Do we have a second?
A second. Whichever.
Second,
We have a
third,
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And on number 6, the Move It Storage Monument sign.
motion to continue to February, same.
Motion to continue with this, the February meeting with the same requirements. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second from Lourdes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
When you say samples, are you referring to paint?
So the original approval, the architect submitted a materials board that had
Okay.
all of his materials on there. Staff may have that still, or you may be able to get that from the applicant.
Okay.
So it'd be great if you didn't have to recreate that, but otherwise, yes, the approved building color, just a paint swatch of it, or the material sample if it's
Okay.
cementous
And then
board or
I can
something.
email you guys about the uploading new stuff to the portal and when the next
You
date
can
is and all
communicate
that.
with Tim with that,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Then there'll be deadlines associated with that in order to get on the February agenda. Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So Tim, that takes us to 7 and 8.
Yes, thank you. We can do these together. So the first one is deviation. This is a scenic corridor deviation application submitted by DKM Custom Homes, requesting approval of the deviation for an additional building sign. And the second one is a requesting approval, it's a less than minor development order application, requesting approval of an exterior modification of the front entry facade on .68 acres with the future land use of mixed use zoning of coastal center properties located in District 4 in Miramar Beach. So in terms of the sign, you've got a picture of the front of the building. There's 2 signs, McCaskill and Company and Rolex with the Rolex logo. So what they want to do is keep both of those signs and the Rolex logo. They're just proposing to put Rolex back up on the building without the crown. In terms of the less than minor, they're going to remove the front facade and replace it with a parapet wall, basically. That I would request that both staff reports be entered into the record. Entertain any questions. I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Okay, let the record show we're entering the staff reports for both 7 and 8. And so, Tim, if you wouldn't mind just to walk me through again the additional sign that's being requested from the deviation in reference to the photographs?
Rolex.
Yeah.
But without the crown.
So, in the
Package.
packet? Because we've got a couple of building facade pictures, and I'm trying to figure out what goes where.
Right, so they want to keep both of the signs. I mean, the actual sign, the McCaskill and Company and the Rolex, but they're not proposing to put back the Rolex crown.
So is this existing today, the Rolex and the crown?
Yes, that's the actual building right there.
Okay, so Is there a code complaint with this? Is that,
No, but
No.
the code says you can have one building sign.
okay.
They have
So
two.
They
So
came,
they're
they
gonna have
came
to-
asking for the less than minor for the building facade
Right.
change.
So I asked
And-
them if they wanted to keep the signs. They said
you.
yes, and I'm like, well, you're only allowed to have one. So the
Okay.
deviations for
That
the
makes
other
sense.
sign.
Okay, I was trying to figure out where the linear track was on this one.
That's it, yes.
Okay, so that helps me understand what's going on. Thank
I
you.
think I believe there's a picture showing what it will look like after the improvement, where the signs are going to be placed.
There's a, I don't even call it,
There's a
elevation with stuff handwritten in.
Yeah, it's not, my recollection, it's not a great drawing, but it does show.
Oh, handwritten.
Well, it's actually on page 169 of the PDF.
Yeah, if you scroll down to the second,
Clear.
set for the less than minor for 8,
Oh,
the drawings are clearer there.
Yeah. So that Rolex is going to stay where it's at above the existing windows.
And the new porch element, architectural element that's being added. Okay.
so everything else is staying the same, it looks like, the roofing, the,
Yes, everything else
Other
is staying, they're
columns.
just removing that porch and replacing it with the parapet wall. Does
And
completely change the entrance look.
what will that color and material be?
They want to keep it the same. They're going to paint it the same color as it is currently.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
So the columns currently are a darker color than the face of the building? Is it going to be painted the lighter face of the building color or the column color? No. Are you the applicant?
bless
Well-
you, Lord.
We want to go ahead and just invite you up then. I'm sorry. We keep pestering poor Tim like he's the only one that can talk to us. I'm sorry.
The owner.
And please make sure you speak into the
I'm sorry.
microphone. We might be able to hear you now, but we won't be able to hear you on the recording, so.
Steve Dixon.
So, the color of the,
Color of the front facade is going to be the lighter color of the building.
Okay.
Proposing not to change anything. We're not even going to remove the signage if we can physically do it during construction. If it gets damaged, we're going to replace it exactly like it is on the building. But we would like to keep the Rolex crest that's currently there.
Oh,
Yeah, it's behind the front facade, so it doesn't show up on that front
that's why it's kind
elevation.
of dotted.
But, yeah.
so
we-
it's this, so it would be both the text and the frame.
Okay,
Crown
It-
and the
it-
Rolex,
mhm.
yeah.
yeah, but it's a second sign. in
No, I know, it's a
addition.
second sign from the McCaskill,
Yeah.
but, you know, you didn't have to get rid of the crown.
So I have a question about the architectural change. We're not to that yet, but it's okay to discuss both of these items
Yeah,
together,
please,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
The current, overhang of the roof over the entry porch,
Yes, ma'am.
it looks like that's staying.
It's staying. We're not
That's
touching
gonna-
anything.
That's
It-
gonna show,
Yes.
on the
Mm.
sides of the.
Yeah, we're not touching any of that. All we're doing is taking the front hip of the roof section off and standing up a parapet wall, scallop parapet wall, and then filling that roof back in.
You're gonna have the eaves sticking out
Yeah, with the gutter.
past the facade.
That's what was concerning me.
And you have these little wings on the facade that are opposite and just looks,
Yeah, there's little exposed rafter tails.
Yeah.
They're gonna be applied to that,
no,
to
but what
that
I'm
eave.
saying, when you have that,
Yeah, they'll.
Yep.
Yeah, and it shows it on the elevation. If you look at the elevation,
Yes,
you can see the scalloped exposed rafter tail sticking out past the front parapet.
I think that's awkward. Always gonna look awkward. I mean, if it was integrated into your parapet and, you know, and covered, but
Well, and even if you leave those on, I was looking at that too. I mean, where's your downspout gonna go? That's just gonna create awkwardness too.
Goes on the, where it hits
Is
the main
Is
building.
it draining to the back, to the main building?
About, the front entry is about 10 feet deep.
So it's draining back and coming down to a gutter?
Correct,
And the
correct.
downspouts on the side, east
the
and
fact
west?
that the shape of it comes out and has these ears, and then there's these leftover ears from the previous.
Mhm.
You know,
Creates
that's
a
what's
little
awkward.
winged effect, like
Yeah.
dragonfly wings.
Uh-huh.
sort
I'm
of.
glad you asked that, because I thought those were gonna disappear.
Yeah, I did
Doesn't
too.
look like it.
I did
Confusing to
too.
me.
I mean, you assume that.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, and
He
that,
just said it's not.
Yes.
yeah,
correct.
he did.
What's the purpose of leaving them? Any idea?
Well, every parapet that I've ever built in 30 years has those sticking out. The exposed tails stick out, and the main mass of the building is your parapet.
Yeah, that,
They're scallop, wood,
right.
rafter tail.
But then the parapet itself sort of works with those. Here, your parapet, the shape of your parapet is going, is creating something that's scalloped like that sort of like it undermines those other wings instead of integrating them.
The current roof has those also, has a soffit that sticks out. It's no different than the current roof.
Let's make sure we're talking about the same things.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see this from there?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about these right here.
Yes, correct.
That's what you're talking about. I've never seen that show on or anything like that on a facade like structure like this. Like, to me, it's like where the new little wings, for lack of a better term, I don't know,
Right.
those should be in front of the existing.
Right, I
over
mean, they
the
should be
eaves.
integrated, that's my point.
Probably a little deceiving in 2D, looking at that front elevation in 2D. When you spin it up into 3D, I think it would probably make sense because you always have a roof overhang over any building structure, 16-inch. That's it.
Well, and what I'm saying is those little jut outs on the new element, it feels to me like they should be lower and cover up the existing overhang or eaves. That would work to me.
You're saying the same thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
They should be integrated so
Yeah.
that, because one, those new little scalloped or whatever, the little wings or ears on the new facade don't work with what's existing. They're going against the grain of the other one. So that's the conflict that I find.
Of it.
I've built hundreds of these over the last 30 years, and they're all like this. I've never seen one different.
Huh.
So I don't
Oh.
know how you would physically do it, but then you would have a water issue of where the water coming off of the roof is
Go to Alice
dumping
Beach,
into
they
the
do it all
parapet.
the time.
Yeah, but you could build a cricket or something behind there,
Yeah.
transfer that water. Yeah, I'm just hung up on how that looks. That's just not traditional how I've seen stuff designed.
Aesthetically, it just looks like somebody didn't want to, like a leftover, something from something past. And
I'll say this, though. I like how it looks, but the rafter tail behind the new parapet is taking away from
Yes.
the new
Exactly.
design
Yeah,
element. I
that's-
like the
that's-
design
yeah.
element because it
I
looks
do
great,
too.
way better than it is now.
yeah,
It's
do too.
competing and it just takes away from it.
that's
It looks
my
like a
problem.
mistake to me on paper.
I'm looking for, how thick is that parapet, the new facade element?
It's, I think it's 14 inches.
That's nice thickness.
Yeah, nice thick. I'm building the exact same thing right now on a house for a client, this exact one. Trying to pull up a rendering of it so you can see it in 3D. It really makes sense in 3D when you see it.
visualize it in 3D and
I mean, every house in Alice Beach and Rosemary, if it
Not
has
like this.
exposed
No.
tails, it does.
no.
I don't think, they're.
No, they
they're
die into the
integrated.
wall. They don't expose that way, unless it's designed, the overall design works with that, but
From the side, do you see on A1-1? There's an elevation far right side of that sheet. Section parapet wall elevation 3. And it's showing how that interplays from the side, and it just seems like those jut outs on that new facade just came down a little lower. They would cover that. I don't see how they would affect the water because that would be behind that facade.
yeah, I mean, it could be integrated, that's all. And we are saying exactly the same thing I'm saying,
I'm just talking about how to integrate it, and the
Yeah.
easiest way I see is just to
lower it.
lower that, yes,
Gosh, can I
or enlarge
show a
it.
picture of rendering of that?
Yes,
absolutely.
exact thing?
Please, please, please.
Especially because this is the one feature of the entrance. And I think this is sticking out more than the other one, than what you're showing.
It's exactly the same one. I'm using the same tail.
It looks better.
It does. You see the roof.
Yeah, that's from the side too. This is a straight-on view.
Yeah, I think the straight-on image elevation.
Problem with it.
Yeah, okay, I get how it's going now. I mean, yeah, it's, okay. Right, okay.
Trying to find some pictures of it.
Clay tile roofs, not asphalt shingles.
Building currently has concrete tile.
Alice Beach, but they're,
Yeah, Alice Beach is a little different. Usually
They
they
don't
have
have-
soffit incorporated into, and sometimes they don't have a whole,
Part of the design.
more like the Rosemary Beach.
Fights it.
that's what's creating.
That's what's the
it.
problem.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask before I forget. Is there anyone in the audience that has any comment on either of these items, 7 or 8? Not seeing anyone. So the deviation request is to continue to have the signs as they exist today. The Rolex behind on the building facade and McCaskill and Company out front. Does anyone have any strong opinion about that?
I'm actually okay with it.
Yeah, it to
Doesn't
me,
bother me.
it
It's-
doesn't stick out as main catching building signage like we usually see when people are requesting the second sign.
Mhm.
I think it works because that facade with the sign, element with the sign on it is so much further out than the door. I just would hate for other people to start wanting to come stick the brand they sell above the windows on there, because.
Well, I mean, I think since this is an existing situation and it's kind of, it's not, we're basically, the approval just brings them to compliance with what's going on. So if we want to go ahead and take action on 7, and then we can finish talking about 8.
Yes,
All
we
right,
should do
so,
that.
does anyone care to make a motion for 7, the building deviation to allow the additional signage?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have
Second.
a motion and a second? All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Approval of number 7. So number 8, the less than minor for the building facade change.
I think the rendering you showed us made it look better. Not that it made it look better, but I understand it better. Still just not sold on it for some reason. I don't know.
It feels
me
completely
personally.
different in that context. And I know you said the dimensions are the same and the overhang is the same dimension, but it feels so very different from the rendering versus the elevation.
Is that what the owner wanted, or is that just something that just came up? I mean, can you not just cut the rafter tails off and just have that just die back into the existing roof?
No, we really couldn't. We'd have to widen the parapet beyond the structure that's there. Using that existing roof, overbuilding on that front hip parapet. So parapet could be widened, but that's everything. We weren't going to do any of that. We were just
Well, what if the parapet, the front doesn't have, it's straighter or
Straight
you
up and
push
down.
it up higher or lower, but you have more of a straight band so that those two die. Because everywhere that I'm seeing in Alice Beach, it's like, they have more of a straight against it, so it's not competing in that shape, in that profile. Versus in yours, it just seems like one is coming down and the other one's coming this way, and it's just competing.
Like a scissor effect. Like a scissor effect. And the other thing that I would say might be simpler, but I don't know, I'm not an architect, I don't know if this could work, versus widening the parapet, could you not just bring that slope down further before you start those little elements that jut out? So that the elements that jut out would actually be in front of those overhangs. So you can keep that
I know
same
what you mean, but
slope and everything, just lower it.
construction-wise, that probably a great thing to do because you can't waterproof the back side of it. Can't get your flashing in there because you don't have enough wall area. Keep that from leaking water into the structure. Bad part about these parapets, you have to flash them properly. Typically, the way this is done, every parapet that I've ever seen is this way.
Well, what we're seeing when we look at, I'm looking at Alice Beach homes, and they have it this way, but they don't have the little elements that jut out on that thing. It goes straight up so that you don't have a scissor effect.
Yeah, it's
From
not
both of the-
competing with it.
I mean, I guess we could take the soffit completely off and not have a soffit, but that horrible. Because then you'll
I
just
don't
have
think
a
you have
flat,
It'll look horrible. I mean, it's just
have
simpler.
a flat band across through there.
Take off those elements. Come straight down, boom.
The ears.
Oh,
Yep.
take the part of the parapet wall off.
The little,
Yeah, because that's what is competing, because one is
Oh.
going down and the other one's going up.
We could
they're
do
also
that.
gonna be different materials.
We could do that, because that's just,
Yeah,
Actually would look,
I think
think
that'd be
clean.
simpler, yeah, it would cleaner. It would emphasize the top.
Does the angle just continue to make a obtuse?
you
Just
could.
like this,
Yeah,
you
it'd
know,
be like that, and
clean
you wouldn't come
instead of,
up
it
and set
wouldn't go up,
everything.
and then that would be down, and then
That's
this
fine.
would show
Yeah.
up on the top.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
fine.
would look nice.
that's,
fine with
I
that.
think that's gonna,
Yeah.
I can see it from here.
I think they'll be happier
Yeah.
with it.
That's
I'm
clean.
happier with that.
That, yeah,
Yeah, it'll look nice, I think.
if it makes them feel any better, that's how they're doing it in Alice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. I'm not being smart, I'm seeing it consistently, that in Alice, they go up.
But
and-
it doesn't compete. There's two
Yes,
objects that don't compete.
yes.
That's the thing.
Because another thing about this is, not only do you have, it's kind of going opposite ways in two elements, but one of those is you're gonna see roofing, and the other you'll see the material of the parapet, so they're totally different materials. So I think that nice, flow, more simple lines will work well, I think.
I'm personally fine with it, so.
Yeah.
Well, good. That's important.
All right, so show Tim what you drew, so Tim knows what to expect. Okay. Does anyone care to make a motion? Or are we still talking? Okay. Can you make it into the microphone?
What?
Yeah, make it
Mic.
Oh,
microphone.
sure. I make a motion to approve with a design change of cleaning up the projections on the sides of the parapet, and making it clean so that there's a vertical line. How do you say?
I just say,
There's just a clean between the slope and the column. No, there's no decorative element on the
jut out.
sides. Yeah.
Got the drawing, so
Yeah.
that should
We have an exhibit.
I work by drawings more, so
Yeah.
it's easier.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, drawings are much easier.
Asking the architects to not talk with pictures and hands.
Yeah. Like that, like that.
My fees, I'll tell you later.
Simplify by just saying, remove the deck.
Side of the, yeah, sure, on the side of the parapet. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
Have a motion and we have second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That pain.
Tim, is there anything else? All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yes.
Third, fourth.
Thank you.
God,